This conference will now be recorded.
All right, it's now, good evening, everyone. It's now time. We'll call to order this September 10th, 2020 meeting of council. Do a pledge of allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. A moment of silence for those wishing to do so. All right. Councilman Hurst, if you could do roll call, please.
How am I going to hear it?
First District,
Present.
Second District,
Present.
Third District,
Present.
Fourth District,
Present.
Fifth,
Present.
Sixth, Present. Town Manager,
Here.
Police Chief,
Here.
Town Solicitor.
Present, sir.
Mayor is also present. We'll do an opening statement and then we'll get to public comment here. For those attending the meeting using the video conferencing option on computer or tablet, we ask you to please mute your microphones using the microphone button on the top right or bottom middle of your video screen. For those attending using the GoToMeeting app on your smartphone, please ensure that you have entered your name as well as mute your microphone using the microphone button on the top right of your screen. For those attending by calling in using a cell phone, please ensure to mute your phone using your cell phone's standard mute button. For those attending using a traditional telephone, please press *6 to mute your telephone. There will be a time permitted for public comment where attendees will be permitted to unmute their phones. We ask that you please wait for the appropriate time and then please identify yourself by name and address prior to speaking. In addition, if you're using the mobile app or are using the web conference, there is a chat function where questions may be submitted in writing and will be monitored by staff and addressed by the mayor and council during the meeting. All right. At this time, I do believe we have a Lou Suma who wanted to present public comment.
Yes, thank you. My name's Lou Suma. I live at 1010 Dover Avenue here in Elsmere. As parking on, I'm addressing a parking issue. Parking on 8th Street has been precarious at times at best. And I know that each household is allocated one spot in the back. I have a map of the parking spots allocated. And basically, what I'm trying to get at is if we could find some way to mark off the spots so everybody knows where the correct spot is that correlates with their house. Been having some problems. Some of the residents take up 2 or 3 spaces at a time back there. And there's been some disputes, to put it mildly. And I was just hoping that maybe we could get something marked out back there because I could just see in the future, and the police will probably be called, and we don't want to waste the police times over parking spaces. And I was just wondering if there's anything we could do to maybe get the spaces marked out back on 8th Street, or at least let some of the newer residents who don't own homes to make them aware that they only have one spot. I've lived here for 23 years and I basically can't park out back. Not without being harassed anyhow.
Thank you, Mr. Suma. John, you want to address that?
Yes, sir. Mr. Suma, you're correct. There are a number of violations going back there. The problem is that the spots aren't clearly marked. The other problem with that is that a spot behind your particular house may be a block away. You're assigned by your deed to where your parking spot is. So we'd have to look up each deed and then go find that spot wherever it may be in that series of cul-de-sacs down there and then figure out how to mark them. So there are a couple people who have taken it upon themselves to find out where their location is, to stone it, to mark it properly. The only way the police department is going to enforce it is if it is properly marked that it's private property. So it's a long process and an expensive one to do on a full town or area basis, but it's maybe something we can help you work on for your.
Well, yeah, I don't mind marking out my space. I would like somebody there, maybe if I had I could coordinate with somebody in the future. I work a lot of nights and a lot of weekends, but maybe I have some time off during the week in the afternoons. Maybe I could just have somebody back there with me to make sure I'm in the right spot and make sure I don't have any problems when I do mark off that spot.
Sure. Your first step would be to bring your deed up to the town hall, to the code office where we have the maps with the deed numbers. And
Okay.
we can look at what your deed number is and help you out that way, get started.
Okay.
Okay.
I do have the map already.
Okay.
I've got the map years ago, actually, and then I just recently acquired another copy, and I did pass out some of the maps to some of the neighbors here, but they weren't too happy about that and put it back in my mailbox.
Well, it's parking's parking, you know that. But we'll do whatever we can to help you, sir.
All right.
You
Well,
are
I'll tell you
incredible.
what. As soon as I get some time off in the next coming weeks, I'll try and coordinate with somebody so we can work something out.
Okay, thank you.
I appreciate
And
that.
I would just like to add, Mr. Suma, that you can also stop up the police department because I helped another resident figure out where he was, and then you have to get it surveyed for us
Yeah.
to actually enforce it.
That's fine. I
Okay.
appreciate that.
Sure.
That puts me in the right direction. I thank you for that.
Sure, anytime.
I think
Thank you,
I'm
Mr.
done.
Suma.
Thank you.
Anybody else for public comment? No hands up. All right, hearing none, we'll move on to approval of the minutes from the August 13, 2020 council meeting.
I'd like to make a motion that we approve the minutes from the August 13th, 2020 council meeting.
Second.
All right, motion made by Councilman Hurst, seconded by Councilwoman Jensen. Any discussion? All right, there being none, we'll vote by roll. First district,
Yes.
second,
Yes.
third,
Yes.
fourth,
Yes.
fifth,
Yes. Yes.
sixth.
Yes.
Mayor, yes. The minutes are approved. There is no old business. Move on to new business. Item number 1, consideration of purchasing a program concerning social media archiving.
Mr. Mayor, I put this on the agenda because we believe that after hearing a sales pitch, it was something we needed. Our attorney, Mr. McMackin, has assured me it is something we're not required to have, and therefore I withdraw the request to purchase it.
Okay. We'll move on to item number 2, discussion and consideration of a possible increase in the cost of the recent sanitation contract.
You're on mute, John.
John, you're on mute.
I'm sorry, sir. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
The garbage contractor hauler that we awarded the contract to has come back to us now, and they're billing and is billing us separately for the dumpsters throughout the town, in addition to what the initial contract cost was. We made it very clear in the contract that their contract bid was to include all costs, all inclusive costs. I've run this by Mr. McMackin. He feels, I believe I could say that he feels confident in our position. And I'm just letting you know they're trying to make us pay an extra $6,000 a month, and we're saying we're not going to pay it. So where this goes, I don't know. I had a discussion with the company yesterday. They were going to take it back to their legal department and come back and decide what position they wanted to take. But Mr. McMacken is here, and I'm sure I've gotten advice from him before taking the steps I did with the company.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to talk too much in public about it because of pending and potential litigation, but John's right. I mean, we should definitely win this.
It doesn't sound like much of an issue then, other than it's out there.
Yeah.
Any discussion?
Yes, Councilman McKeown. They signed the contract already, John?
They have the final copies. They haven't signed it, but they've performed the service since July 1st. I haven't got their signed copies back. We went back and forth with language for a while about insurances and stuff. We got that straightened out. We sent each other final copies, and we're waiting for signatures to pass around. But they're now trying to bill us from July. They're trying to give us an extra bill.
Okay, is that contract open?
I'd hate to venture to say legally whether it is or isn't. I don't know.
Oh,
We've executed and delivered our copy of it, the town's copy of it, from what I understand, and they've already started services. So as unhappy as I am with them for trying to pull what they're trying to pull, at this point, I don't think we're in a position to walk away from the agreement because they've already started performing.
okay. I just wonder, you know, if we signed the contract the same way, if I could call back, Waste Management try to do that to break the contract, and they stopped. We, you know, said we're not going to pay the extra money. So
Yeah, this
I
situation
thought,
is a little bit. Sorry.
We
Go
feel
ahead.
confident,
Go ahead,
we
Jim.
feel confident in our position, Charlie.
Okay,
Yeah, we
but
should win
I
this.
just wonder why they're changing. They only been there 2 months and they're changing the contract already.
I don't think they're changing the contract. What I think they're trying to do is they're trying to snooker us into paying something that's not provided in the contract without coming to us first, like Waste Management did, and saying, hey, you know, we're thinking about the economics behind this contract. Would you be willing to work with us and increase the monthly or I think it was annual spend that Waste Management wanted us to agree to? This situation is different with the current hauler, because what the current hauler is saying is that under the agreement as drafted, as agreed to, as we have signed, and as they've begun to perform, we need to pay more under that contract than the contract says. I just don't understand. I don't think they had their legal review it before they went to John and said, you owe us more money.
No. Okay. Thank you.
Any discussion, comment, anybody else? Anybody that? Okay. Well, I'm sure we'll hear how this turns out. It's amazing. Well, that brings to a conclusion new business. We'll move on to departmental reports. Start with code.
Mayor and Council, in addition to your written report, the department issued 97 violations in the month of August. 63 of those were corrected with warnings, 33 fines, and 2 remain pending at the end of the month. They issued 10 repeat public nuisance violations fines. Of those 10, 3 were for second offenses and repeat public nuisance offenses. Requested the Public Works Department to complete 6 abatements as a result of the violations that were issued. They conducted 11 free rental inspections, processed 2 petitions, which were heard by the Planning Commission or Board of Adjustments, processed and issued 31 permits, processed 11 business licenses, 1 in town and 10 out of town, tagged 14 vehicles for tow. However, only 3 of them required to be towed. They've moved them before the tow date. So they've been busy again.
Any discussion for code? I did want to just bring up one thing that you, John and I had talked about earlier, and that is that it seems that confrontation between code, not on code's part, but towards code has been increasing. Do I have that right?
You're correct, sir. Threats against them have been increasing also. The most recent one was yesterday when they issued a violation notice and the guy said to him, "That's how you get yourself shot." They have today, the police department issued to them today each a bulletproof vest to wear when they're out there. That's not uncommon to other code officers. Other code officers have them. It's not everybody does, but most do. So we issued 2 to our people today to wear when they felt the need was there. They had asked for them and they feel a little bit more comfortable with them.
It's unfortunate there are threats, but hopefully that's as far as all this goes. You know, tensions out there seem to be getting higher with everything that's going on.
Yeah, they do. We've had a couple violent locations with code officers over the years, violent confrontations with code officers over the years, chasing the car down the street, beating on the roof, trying to drag the code officer out of the car, coming up to town hall after a code officer, charging in town hall and into their office after them. So it's not uncommon to hear from them, but we try to monitor as much as we can. The police department stays on top of it with us.
Good. Good. Any questions for code or about code? All right. Hearing none, seeing none, we'll move on to finance.
Finance, sir. The director is here. Director Steve Martin is with us tonight. If you have specific questions for him. As of this date, they've received $401,034 in property taxes as of August 31st. As you know, the property taxes aren't due until September 30th, so that's a pretty good amount. Transfer taxes for the month of August were $27,433.50. 17 properties were sent to sheriff's sale in January of 20. Of those 17, only 10 remain on the sheriff's sale list as of August. The sheriff's sales continue to be postponed due to coronavirus. The department has spent a significant amount of time preparing for the upcoming audit during the month of August. So they're getting the taxes, they're getting the heavy tax season at the same time they're getting ready for the audit to hit. So they're doing a good job.
Have there been many requests for hardship on property taxes? I mean, above normal?
Not so far. Matter of fact, I think they're a little bit below normal in the payment plans that we have. Jackie's in charge of that. She keeps a pretty good hand on it, and she actually will call people to make sure that they're still okay. The only problem we're having tax-wise so far is the sheriff's sale, and it's the fact that they can't take them to sheriff's sale because of the executive order, the governor's state of emergency order.
Thank you. Any questions for finance? Hearing none, seeing none, we'll move on to public safety.
I just wanted to make mayor and council aware that next month, public safety department will not be represented because we have our day and night shoot at the range. But Newcastle County PD will be covering the town from 1 p.m. till 5 o'clock in the morning the next day. Also, next month, I want to submit to you the first and second reading for an update on penalties for the traffic offenses that I told you that once we review what we've been writing and bring some traffic offenses up to date in the 21st century. Just to give you an example, expired or no valid license is 25. I think it should be 75. Driving while suspended or revoked is 50. I think it should be 200 for that violation. Parking at a yellow curb right now is $11.50 to $25. I'll be sending this all out. You can look at it. You can tell me if you agree or don't agree with the increases. But I think that there's some that are here that are $10, which is ridiculous. So I'll be sending you that. And
Chief?
for the first and second reading, I won't be here. But if anybody has any questions after I send it out next month, please reach out and we can discuss it. As you all know, I
Chief?
sent you an email about the death investigation that has turned into a homicide in the 1300 block of Cypress Avenue. Detective Salden is handling that. The suspect is incarcerated at this time, not on these charges, but he's going to be there for a while. So there's no rush and there's no threat to the community. As you know, Patrolman Lindy and his wife Jackie had twin daughters on September 1st, and they're all doing well and healthy and at home. We also received approval for the Fund to Combat Violent Crimes yesterday in the amount of $29,894.33. And I wasn't able to report for the September voluntary assessment fines. Oh, I'm sorry, Councilwoman Jensen.
Yeah,
She
I'm
has her hand
sorry.
up.
Can you? I wanted to tell you that I would be very happy to sponsor that ordinance that you discussed a few minutes ago.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, the voluntary assessment received in September 2020 was $19,467.06. At this time, at the end of September, for the voluntary assessment fines, we have $61,556.03. If anybody has
Thank
any
you,
questions.
Chief. Any questions for public safety? All right. Thank you, Chief. We'll move on to Public Works.
Okay, for Public Works, get my volume set back up here again now. Okay. Public Works Department patched 2 potholes during the month, as well as they replaced a large 10 by 20 patch on Linden Avenue. They're currently monitoring 2 sinkholes in the town, one at 512 Redwood Court and Forest and 2nd Avenue. They're watching those to see if they progress, if they open up any further. The street sweeper is running District 1. The entire department was trained in new sanitizing fogging machines that were received as part of the county money, or the federal money that's passed through by the county. The department handled issues which arose from the tropical storm on August 4th. The issues included 2 large trees. One fell across Junction Street and the vehicle, as well as a large tree and debris which fell across the roadway on Beach Avenue and Forest Avenue. They've both been removed by now and back on, well, what we can remove from the roadways and all. It is the homeowner's responsibility for the rest of the trees. They completed 6 abatements as requested by the Code Enforcement Department and repaired vandalism at Fairgrounds Park, Valone Park, where the gates to the dugouts were damaged. That's all for Public Works.
Any questions for Public Works? Yeah, thank you. Thank them for all the work after that storm. That was a mess. There's a lot of stuff that took a while to take care of too. All right, hearing none, seeing none, we'll move on to Town Manager's report.
Town manager report, the only thing I really have to add is we received the equipment from the county that we had put in for reimbursement for money we had spent to get ready for the COVID virus, some masks and stuff. We received that, plus we received the money for the sanitizing fogging system. Remember what that total price was, Diana? What we received?
Between all four grants, it was about $45,000.
All right, 45,000. So we have about $150,000 left to us available. We've got to spend by December to be able to be eligible. If anybody has any idea of things we can buy related to the COVID virus. One suggestion has come in to take the room that was upstairs here on the third floor that was occupied by the senior center and make that a storage closet for COVID type material, put shelves in there and store equipment in there, a mask and so forth and everything else we could think of. So that we'll move forward with that. We'll be putting in a big request before the next meeting to the county again for advanced approval for funding to get that. That's all I have.
Any questions for our town manager? All right, hearing none, seeing none, we'll move on to our first ever statements by mayor and council to keep our solicitor happy. Any statements by council? And we'll just go by district. First district?
No, I don't.
Second?
I do not.
Third?
Not at this time.
Fourth?
No.
Fifth?
Well, of course, I have to make a statement. So I suggested this be called statements by council. So I just take time that I, maybe more to the holidays, we could start thinking about planning the spring cleanup. Even with what's going on with COVID, the way that was held in the last few years, where we just had places where people bring the items, drive up with them. It's all outdoors. And I'm hoping that we can consider putting that, finding the money somewhere in the budget to continue to plan the spring cleanup. So that's all I want to say. Thanks.
I think first of all, we got to clean up the issue with the dumpsters with the garbage company first.
Yeah, the spring cleanup might actually come in handy. People can hold on to their furniture until then instead of dumping it in Valone Park.
That is a major problem.
Yeah, there's almost a whole dining room set there. There was yesterday. And a couch.
Can I make a suggestion that we buy some COVID cameras and put them up in the park and try to catch the person that's actually doing the dumping?
Did you say cameras, Brian?
I said we should buy some COVID cameras, COVID-19 cameras, and put them up in the park and catch the people that are doing the dumping. And then my other suggestion is that we start unlocking Junction Park and leaving it unlocked. Because my son went there around 11 o'clock one day last week, and it was all locked up.
Okay, we can start that tomorrow.
All right, thank you.
All right, I just had a couple of things. It's just stuff that came up. I'm on the population consortium, so I attended the meeting, and one of the things, I mean, obviously COVID's still the big thing hanging around out there, is that the projections are, and I may have already said this before, but the projections are for a decrease in population. So everybody's trying to figure out what exactly that means for a particular municipality. Population's getting older in Delaware, deaths are now exceeding births, and the transient population, people moving from state to state for jobs, employment, whatever the reason, is not making up the difference in Delaware. So the projection is that there's going to be a continued decline in population. So the questions, where we left off the last meeting, the questions were, how do you plan around this? And what impact will this have on taxes, tax base, as well as vacant housing, as what I'm being told right now is that housing is actually, it's a seller's market right now, but that's not going to last if there's a continued decline in population. So what impact will that have? So just some things that are hanging around out there. And I do have, they did provide some publications, which I'll get out to everybody on that, but just some things to add to the mix as continued planning occurs. The other portion was I attended the WMAPCO meeting this morning, and I'm sure this doesn't need to be said, but man, there's construction everywhere. And as far as that impacts Elsmere specifically, there's nothing going on through WMAPCO in Elsmere. There are still talks about the bike paths, and there is stuff going on at Newport, which is going to come close to us. And there are going to be conversations again about, in part, it's the Markel Trail, the bike trail, and getting into Newport, which would potentially impact Elsmere. Those are just conversations right now. I think with everything else going on, some of this stuff has taken a back seat, but clearly road construction has not. And there's a lot that's going on and a lot more coming. And that is all I have. Anything else by council before we turn it over to public comment? All right, there being none, any public comment?
Mr. Mayor, can I comment? I'm sorry, John Giles. I just want to make Mayor and
Sure.
Council aware, starting tonight, when the meeting ends, the go to meeting will also end immediately after the meeting. There'll be no lag time after the meeting. Usually people hang around, say goodbye and all that kind of stuff. It's nice, but we don't want to take a chance of something being said that should have been said in public. So we want to cancel this as soon as they shut this down, as soon as the meeting's over with.
Thank you. All right, hearing no public comment, do we have a motion to adjourn?
So
I'll
moved.
make a
So
motion.
moved.
Everybody's
I'll second.
I think the motion was by Councilwoman Persani, seconded by Councilman Hurst. Did I pick out any of the voices right?
Yep.
All right. We'll do a vote by roll. First district,
Yes.
second,
Yes.
third,
Yes.
fourth,
Yes.
fifth,
Yes.
sixth.
Yes.
Mayor, yes. And Charlie, that is the clearest we have heard you in months. Thank you. Meeting is so adjourned. Have a great weekend, everybody. Enjoy the nice weather they're predicting.